Paul Atreides begins his journey as an honorable boy trying to survive a political assassination. He ends it as a sovereign, whose rise to power requires the death of an entire galactic order. Director Denis Villeneuve treats this story as a warning, not a celebration. By stripping away the usual tropes of the hero's journey, he frames Paul's ascent as a tragedy in the making. In this universe, victory doesn't mean the hero saved the day. It means he survived long enough to become the very thing he feared. The Galactic Empire runs on spice melange, a substance that enables space travel and extends human life. For the ruling class, the planet Arrakis is less a world and more a resource mine to be stripped for profit, regardless of the cost to the native Fremen who live there. The Emperor uses this dependency to set a trap. He orders the noble House Atreides to take over Arrakis from their rivals, the Harkonnens, knowing the transition will trigger a war that leaves the Atreides family isolated. Duke Leto sees the danger, but hopes to ally with the Fremen, whose massive hidden numbers represent desert power. Beneath the political maneuvering lies a deeper manipulation. The Bene Gesserit sisterhood has spent generations engineering Paul's bloodline to create a superbeing, burdening him with visions of a future he can neither fully understand nor escape. Paul arrives on Arrakis as a vulnerable political pawn and a biological weapon nearing detonation. The betrayal comes from within. The Atreides doctor, Wellington Yu, disables the planetary shields to bargain for his wife's life, leaving the Atreides army completely exposed to an orbital assault. In a single night, the joint forces of House Harkonnen and the Emperor's elite Sardaukar massacre the Atreides forces and capture the Duke. Duke Leto dies in a failed attempt to kill the Baron with a poison gas tooth. Paul and his mother, Jessica, only escape the slaughter because of the sacrifice of Duncan Idaho, who holds the line against dozens of soldiers to buy them time to flee into the deep desert. With his house destroyed, Paul is forced to abandon his noble upbringing. He is left with nothing but his survival training and the lethal environment of the dunes. Paul earns his place among the Fremen by killing a man named Jameis in ritual combat. As he adapts to their culture, he finds a partner in Chani, a warrior who loves the man Paul is, but remains wary of the legends growing around him. While Paul fights, Lady Jessica manipulates. She exploits ancient myths planted by her orders centuries ago to convince the southern tribes that Paul is their messiah, weaponizing their religious fundamentalism to secure her family's safety. Paul takes the name Muad'Dib and leads a guerrilla war that strikes at the Empire's wallet, systematically dismantling spice production. His success forces the Baron to send his most psychopathic nephew, Feyd-Rautha, to escalate the violence. Realizing he cannot win a conventional war, Paul drinks the water of life, a lethal desert poison. He survives the transformation, allowing him to see the past, present, and future as a single, simultaneous landscape. Paul now sees the consequences of his actions across centuries. Knowing that his victory will lead to a holy war that kills billions, he chooses to embrace the role of the Messiah anyway. Paul delivers a tactical masterstroke by riding massive sandworms through a breached mountain wall during a colossal sandstorm. The Fremen legions overwhelm the Sardaukar, and Paul finally secures his revenge by executing Baron Harkonnen. The battle culminates in a brutal duel between Paul and Feyd-Rautha. Even after being stabbed, Paul overpowers and kills the Harkonnen heir, ending the rivalry between their houses for good. By reclaiming his throne through overwhelming force, the boy who once sought only to survive has become a conqueror who demands absolute submission. Paul forces the Emperor to abdicate and demands marriage to Princess Irulan. It is a cold political calculation that secures his crown, but it shatters his relationship with Chani. When the noble houses refuse to accept his rule, Paul unleashes his legions into the stars, beginning a holy war across the known universe. The story of Arrakis mirrors real-world colonial struggles, where the lives of indigenous people are treated as secondary to the flow of global energy resources. Paul's victory is the ultimate expression of this exploitation, blending absolute political power with manufactured religious fanaticism. Paul Atreides secured his empire, but he lost the humanity he fought to protect. The fallout of his choices will be the center of Dune Messiah. If you're ready for the final chapter, comment Lisan al-Gaib.